Thank you. I'd also like to thank Tony Favreau, our Deputy Director, for being here today. Chief Bill Bonshu from OES is here as well, and then Ben Bergwam from the Assembly Patterson's office is here as well. So thank you for coming. It's a great opportunity to bring the attention to wildfire today and throughout this week, as Wildfire Awareness Week for California is kicked off on Monday. But to give you a little overview of what's been going on here locally, and other chiefs will speak more about what's going on a statewide basis and in the region level. But I think we're experiencing here locally what's really common throughout the state of California right now, and it's drought conditions. We have areas here in Fresno County that are 70% of their normal rainfall, and other areas that are in the 50% range. So that does have significant impacts to us in this county, and not only from the wildfire perspective, but obviously being such a farming community, we need that water. And although we've been fortunate in the last several days with rainfall, it really isn't going to help us when it comes to the wildland fire activity. We expect the temperatures are going to climb back up into the mid-90s probably by Friday and Saturday, and any effects that this rain brought to the area are probably much going to be gone. So we'll be back to chasing the fires, and our activity levels are going to drastically increase again. The weather outlook for the remainder of the summer, and other chiefs here will talk probably more about this, but it's just more dry weather. It's more abnormally high potential for fire danger, and so we are expecting to have a fairly significant wildland fire activity year. The fire activity here locally, these dry conditions, resulted in increased fire activity. For this time of year, we're actually running twice as many fires this time of year than we were last year, and that's just an indication of the type of fuel conditions and the dryness that's out there. The current fire intensity and the spreads components have gone up drastically, and that's really affecting our ability to control the fires at a smaller size. So that is in fact another significant impact. Last week we sent approximately 60 firefighters out of county throughout the state, fighting fires up and down the state, and that's just right here that the 60 firefighters came out of this area, and that went out as engines, crews, strike teams of dozers, and and various other resources. We've had personnel in the unit here within Fresno County from as far away as San Luis Obispo County to come in here and help us out on some of our local incidents. We've also had resources come in from Tulare County and some of our neighboring counties to assist with fires. And of course, we've had a lot of assistance from the local government resources here in the county as we've been trying to keep up with the fire activity. As you see, we've had a couple of spots as you drove up the road here coming to the location of this event, and that we've already had wildland fires that have been spreading in and about residences. This one here close by actually threatened several homes, and we've had also had fires where outbuildings have been lost already this year, and the fires have spread right up to the main homes, and we've been fortunate and able to stop them at those locations prior to causing any further damage to the home itself. The other thing that's been going on, there's been a lot of people out doing clearance around their homes, and we really encourage that. We like to see people get that clearance done. We want it done early, but at the same time, we're getting starts from people out there doing this, and we're getting equipment that's either operating faultily, or there's been issues with the equipment they're using, or in some cases they're out there working in the dry grass in the heat of the day and oftentimes causing fires through that. So we really want people to clear around their homes, but we want that done before 10 a.m. We want it get it out while it's early, while the winds aren't there and while the humidities are somewhat up. Get those clearances done, and but please get the clearances completed around your homes. To address the heightened fire activity, we've already hired 60 firefighters here within the local area. These are our seasonal firefighters for CAL FIRE. We've already have 9 engines staffed. Effective Monday of this week, we have 9 engines that are fully staffed and ready to go. And we have another 25 personnel that are in training right now that will staff additional engines this coming Monday, which will take us up to our full peak staffing for this time of year. Now, normal time for peak staffing in this unit is June 15th or somewhere around that date. So as you can see, we're about 30 days or more ahead of our normal staffing levels in preparing for the current activity that's going on. So that's a major increase just in staffing levels right there. The other things we're doing in the way of prevention, we want to get out and get the message to the public. We're doing our best to get out and encourage the public education. The main thing that we're doing is doing inspections around homes. In 2011, we completed 4,800 inspections here in Fresno County, and we're talking about the SRA area, which is primarily up in the foothill areas, kind of this elevation and on up into towards the National Forest. And last year we completed over 6,500 inspections of homes, and this year we've already completed over 200, and we will be closer to that 6,500 number once we get the additional personnel staffed up here in the local area. We'll have a lot more inspections getting done, and we expect again to get into the 6,500 inspection range. And this is extremely important because we not only get a chance to get people to make those clearances, but we also get a chance to talk to them, make sure they're aware of our Ready, Set, Go program, and Ready, Set, Go is getting ready and set to leave, having good escape plans, having your home ready, and then also when it's time to leave. That's our Ready, Set, Go program. But primarily it's important for us here locally. We continue, and this is throughout the state, to encourage people that live in the wildland areas to realize the potential, be prepared, and to do the clearances and to have a plan. Have a plan for escape. Have a plan for how you're going to get your family and your belongings away from that area when the fire does occur. And that's the key message that we want to continue to encourage people to practice. So that's pretty much what I have to offer here from the local aspect. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Stan Craig. Stan is our Assistant Region Chief for CAL FIRE, and he'd like to have a few words with you as well. Stan?
Thanks, Keith. As Keith said, I'm the Assistant Region Chief for the Southern Region of CAL FIRE. I'm here on behalf of Dale Hutchinson, the Southern Region Chief. Many of the things that Keith said I could echo. I was just speaking earlier today with our Communications Deputy Director and realized that last week began my 41st fire season, and frankly I can't recall spring conditions ever in my career like we saw last week. The burning conditions are intense. I don't say this to alarm anybody. I say it as a heightened awareness. The clearances, doing your part to help us help you is absolutely critical. We're doing whatever we can to gear up ahead of schedule this year because of these conditions and the fires that we experienced last week. I would look at this brief break in the weather, that Chief Larkin mentioned, as a godsend to us on both sides, both as homeowners in wildfire-prone areas to get our clearances if we were caught off guard by the early dryout, and also as an agency to get our folks trained and staffed up in an accelerated fashion. I'm going to turn this over next to our Deputy Director for Fire Protection from Sacramento. He's here on behalf of our agency director, Ken Pemlott. Chief Andy McMurray.
Thanks, Stan. Governor Brown issued a proclamation earlier this week declaring this week Wildfire Awareness Week. We had a chance to brief the governor on the conditions, and he was very pleased with the fact that we were ramping up our preparedness early, and I think what Chief Larkin said is pretty much the standard for the state. We're seeing things about 4 to 6 weeks earlier than normal, and kind of how we do that is we monitor the the green transition to the brown transition of our vegetation and try to gauge our staffing based on that. And so as we're working through those types of things, we get to the point where traditionally what we see this year is quite a bit ahead of where we've been in the past. Statewide, similar to what's been going on here in the Fresno area, early staffing has been one of the things that we've done to try to mitigate the threat of an earlier onset of burning conditions. Last week, we had some very elevated risk, and we pre-positioned resources in certain places, brought some more resources on, moved them around into the different parts of the state that were at higher risk. This year so far, we've had about 1,100 fires. That's about 550 fires more statewide than we would normally have this time of year. So we can see that the drying conditions and all these things are coming together to provide a very volatile situation. I think the situation that we have right here in the backdrop is a very good example of that. People where they may have been clear to clear vegetation in a certain week of the year on an annual basis are finding this type of a result. So while we want people doing the right thing, we need them to do the right thing at the right time during the day. And as Chief Larkin said, before 10 a.m. is the best. We can't do this as the California Fire Service without a lot of cooperation between all of our agencies. And Bill Bonshew, Chief Bonshew, is behind me here representing all the local government fire service. The federal agencies, the U.S. Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, all of us work together to put an interagency response together to implement the mission. We can't do it without the public cooperation as well, though. As Keith said, defensible space is key, and I want to reiterate again, and you're going to hear it like a broken record, do the right thing at the right time. So when you're doing your defensible space, make sure you're doing it at the right time of the day. 94% of all the fires caused in California are human caused. So while the conditions are a bit sooner than normal, and lightning is always something that we look at, the 94% human caused statistic tells us that those are preventable fires. So we're hoping to reach out and get the public's awareness heightened so that as we move forward through this fire season, that their families and their property will be protected. I think that's about all I have.